Was in primary school when I felt a pit in my stomach and feeling very uneasy and uncomfortable, and yeah, that was the first time I experienced an anxiety attack. I was always feeling so uncomfortable and uneasy, and even when I told my family about it, they didn't understand what was going on. They just brushed it off as just me getting used to being around new people. Well, when I got to high school, I think that's when things got worse, especially in my family, because there were a lot of arguments. It wasn't a very conducive environment for me to be in as well, so it just made my anxiety worse. So the relationship between my mom and I, we've always been very close. It's just that she didn't understand what I was going through at the time, so it made the relationship have a break in that sense. So when I was in high school, I went up to one of my teachers and told them that I would like to see a psychologist, and they referred me to one. And that's when she made me realize that I may be suffering from an anxiety disorder. And she then proceeded to call in my mom and sit her down and explain what I've been going through. And this in turn made my mom understand what was going through all these years, with the panic attacks, the crying, the anxiety, the ulcers and all of that. So that made our relationship stronger, because she now understood what I was going through and how she could help me and support me, and also how she was able to let my family know what I was going through. I spoke to my psychologist. She spoke about medication firstly, but I didn't want to go into medication. I didn't want to depend on something, because I felt like it would change the person I was overall. So I did some research as to different ways that I could use to cope. So I started meditating when I was feeling very anxious. I'd listen to meditation podcasts, and also I started journaling how I felt. I think that was the most important thing. And thirdly, my spirituality. Firstly, I think people need to know what anxiety is, what it is, what it feels like, because there's also different degrees of anxiety. One person's anxiety could be worse than yours or better than yours. So it's about figuring out what type of anxiety you have, and also seeking help. I'm an advocate for therapy. I think that helped me greatly. So speaking to someone who's educated in that sense, so they can help you understand what you're going through, how to deal with it, and how to interact with other people outside of that. All of that stems from them not knowing what mental health issues are, because I feel like their generation grew up in a time where that was never talked about. It was never a thing. It was always like, you're black, you're just sad, and you need to get over it, And so since they were not educated on it, they don't know how to deal with it when their kids suffer from those type of things. That's why I say it's important that families get educated on mental health, so that they know how to support their kids instead of shutting them down and shutting them off. If you have a young child and they're displaying symptoms of any type of mental health issues, then you're able to help them accordingly from a young age, so that they don't suffer until they're grown up and only then they get diagnosed. So I think it's very important in that regard. And it's also important that we spread awareness about it all over, so there's no stigma about it, and people are able to talk about it comfortably.